What is up, guys, and welcome to my final race in AOR Oceania. It's been a good couple of years in the series, in this part of the world, taking part, but yeah, this is my last race. I'll be moving to the UK, if you haven't heard, in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that, and there's a break week next week, and it makes sense that this is my last week, so that I have time to send my equipment away and get ready for the move that is coming up. So this is the Russian Grand Prix. I do have last week's set of races at Singapore. If you guys do want to see those, feel free to let me know. But I felt like it was probably more relevant to just upload this last one, as this one is one of the better ones of the season. So make of that what you will. I've also got SRL from 2 days earlier than this, which was also a really tasty race, and I think I'll definitely be uploading that one, but maybe at a later time when maybe I'm in transit between the two countries. I'll have to wait and see. I do need to get ahead on videos, so that might be a pretty good idea. But here we are for the Russian Grand Prix. This is qualifying. For reference, I did the Bathurst 12 hour, and this race only finished about 7-8 hours before the start of this one was due to start. So we spent all week practicing for the Bathurst 12 hour. Me, Ryan, and Jared all adapted our sleep schedules to a UK one so that we could get up for that race and take part in that. I think we all had about 3 or 4 hours sleep before this race, and I personally did not practice for this race at all. I had 20 minutes worth of time trial before this race started, but I feel like the pace was still pretty good. As you can see here, we're sitting in P5 at the moment, but yeah, we're looking okay at the moment. We're up by 4/10. We went in a little bit too deep onto that run onto the back straight there. I just carried a bit too much speed, and you can see we're losing a little bit of time now as we approach this third sector. This lap could get us into the top 3 or 4. We'll have to wait and see. I went in a little bit too deep into that right-hander again, so more time has been lost, but hopefully we can recover a little bit here in this third sector. Really nice rotation there, short shifting up to 4th to get a nice exit. We're actually gaining back some time here as we head into the final 2 corners of this Russian Grand Prix. We're up by 4/10 once again, so although we lost a lot of time in 2 different areas of the circuit, we were able to still improve by over 4/10 and end up in P5. So not too bad. Not too bad, especially when myself and Ryan did not practice very much at all for this race. And, you know, not to throw shade on the other guys, but they do practice all week. So the fact that we were in the mix with them, I think, is a monumental achievement given everything that has happened. Also, if you're wondering where Jared is, he didn't wake up for the race. He was too tired. I think he must have slept through his alarm. The race probably taken a toll on him. But there you go. You can see the Bathurst 12-hour race on my channel, by the way. It would have been the last video or the video before that, so check that out. But here we go, ready for my last race. 5 red lights, and away we go for this Russian Grand Prix. It looks like an okay start. Starting alongside Dominator, who is filling in for this race. I think it's his first race back as a reserve. We've got Roscoe Arm right behind us in P6. A long way back, though, it must be said, so the field is already split into 2 halves before we even get to turn 2. A bit of squabbling there between Ryan and Greek Master. Dominator losing the back end pretty badly there on the exit of turn 2, and that gives us an opportunity to go around the outside here, heading into turn 4. Bit of contact is made. We're pushed off the circuit, but we managed to still hold it around the outside, and that is P4 for us again, turning in. And oh my goodness. Okay, we got half spun there. We got collected by, I think, Roscoe Arm, unfortunately. And I believe he's got some damage. We've lost a place to HO. And overall, just very, I don't know what to say, very messy, a very scuffed start to this Russian Grand Prix. Here's the onboard from Roscoe. You can see Dominator gives us the big squeeze through that right-hander. And then again into this one. We get a touch in the rear, and Roscoe had nowhere to go, unfortunately. Lost half of his front wing, and that's going to be a long race for him now for the rest of this race. I'm already on 2 warnings, by the way. So that's a great start to this race, as well as all the time we've lost. Dominator now lets me go through. So fair play to him for doing that. We're cutting back to the action now at the front. Ryan is getting pretty racy here on Fens. He goes around the outside of him. And I think he might make that move stick. No, he doesn't. I think there's contact between Ryan and Fens, and that allows Greek Master to slide up the inside of both of those guys. So very slick work from the Greek. I don't think he's actually... I think he's Australian, but he's Greek heritage, of course. But you saw their contact with Fens and a bit of D-Sync as well, for good measure. And that sent Ryan from potentially challenging from first to now down in third place. Dominator is now coming back at me here on this fourth lap into turn 2. I actually got a penalty on the last lap for a minor cut, and that time I cut by a lot, and there was absolutely no warning at all. So nice to see that the penalty system is nice and consistent. That happens at Hungary and other circuits as well. You cut by a tiny amount, and it's a warning. You cut by an absolute mile, nothing. Most of the time that happens. Silverson is another one, cops the old turn 1. But anyway, I'll digress. Master Berserk is out of the Grand Prix. Let's have a look at what happened to him. He's tucked in behind HO in the Red Bull. There's nothing really going on, to be honest. He's following through turn 3, and then HOD sinks.
Are you all right?
Wow, that is really unlucky. That's HO's first race back from Japan. He was away for many, many months. And here he is back in his first race, unfortunately causing a pretty sizable incident there. This is Dominator pitting very early on lap 5. He's going on to soft compound tyres. And looks like Greek Master is following him through on the very next lap. Greek Master gets a penalty for corner cutting. Now that was a glitch that we were told about before this race started. Apparently you can get penalised for taking the pit lane entry, and the game thinks you're corner cutting, but you're really not. So poor old Greek Master here has been copped with an unfair 5-second stop go, and that's going to set him back quite a bit in this race. We might be able to get in the mix with him later on in this Grand Prix. Ryan now pits on the very next lap. I can tell you the strategy for me and Ryan is to go from the Hypersofts to the Ultrasofts, and we think that's the fastest strategy, but we did not expect other people to be pitting on for softs. Like, the tyre wear at Russia really isn't that bad, but I guess those guys are going for the undercut and track position. You can see Ryan here gets the job done on Greek Master, and now Ryan has fresh ultra soft tyres, and he should be able to pull away from Greek now with ease, given that his tyres are 2 steps softer than his. But I guess Greek Master is playing for the long game here. He's trying to come back at Ryan at the end of the race. That's a penalty for me as well, but mine was pit lane speeding, even though it said the pit speed limit was 60 miles an hour. I stopped for the line at 60 miles an hour, and that's a penalty apparently. So for me, that's 5 seconds added on at the end of the race. If I don't serve the stop-go penalty, that's another 5 seconds added on top of that. So that'll be a 10-second time penalty for me at the end of this race, which is great. But we rejoin the circuit, and you can see we're very, very close to both Dominator, Greek, and Ryan is just a tad up the road. So let's see what we can do in this race. I was pretty annoyed at all the things that have transpired so far. My first stint was kind of ruined with that spin with Dominator. My tyres were overheated and I couldn't really show what my pace was. But now that I've got fresh ultra soft tyres on, I'm going to go hell for leather and try and get back in this race. Seeing as it is my last race, let's just go full send and see what we can do. Dominator goes defensive on his soft compound tyres. We're going to be much faster than him at this current stage of the race. Again, he gives us a tag into turn 2, and at that point, you can see I'm just fed up. I'm like, get away from me. So, we half got hit into that penalty. We were going to be done for a warning or a penalty anyway, so I thought, okay, let's just go. Let's get away from him. So, we got away, and now we're going to set off after Greek Master. At this point, I was really, really angry. Maybe the lack of sleep was getting to me, and I thought, let's just go hell for leather. I'm not going to have any track position in this race with the penalties I already have, so let's just go full send. Greek Master is up next. He's on his soft compound tyres. Like I said, he's going to be pretty slow here, so let's see if we can get the job done up the inside into the next right-hander, and that is us up in a P5. Next up is our teammate, New Zealand Ryan. Still, a few people yet to make their stops in this Grand Prix, so that promotes us into P3 in this Grand Prix. So we're looking pretty good at this stage to, well, get a good result on track. But anyway, here we go through this middle sector of the lap. This is when I just decided to be a lot more aggressive, just push a lot more. I feel like maybe in the past or in most league races I've been maybe a little bit guilty of not being as aggressive as what I should be. I don't know if it's nerves or something like that, but in this race I just decided to go full send. Like, who cares? Let's just go for it. Let's see what happens. And I don't know, the driving angry, it seems, was helping me, at least at this racetrack anyway. But here you can see this is a pretty good lap for us. We go purple, 133.5, which we were threatening to do over the last couple of laps, but just minor cuts like that one right there at turn 2 just kept on getting me over the course of the last few laps and the race, I suppose, so that prevented us from getting the fastest lap, but we finally get it in there. I don't know what it was about turn 2, but it was just cutting by the smallest of margins, and it was costing me copious amounts of penalties in this Grand Prix. That certainly won't be the last one. Unfortunately, it took me a long time to adjust to, well, rotating the car a little bit more. We'll get into that. Speaking of rotating, DLG Gamble has gone for a bit of a rotation there at the second to the last corner. Don't know what to say. I lost the back end and I was right up his gearbox and I had no time to react, so that was that. Meanwhile, we're moving into P2 now. We get past Ryan, who recognises that we've got quite a bit of pace in this one. He lets us go and kind of nicely lets me leapfrog him and gets DRS and brings me a little bit closer to fence. Again, I make the mistake of I was using 4th gear through turn 2, and if I would have realised a lot earlier to switch it into 3rd, it would have helped rotate the car a bit better and I wouldn't have got all those penalties at turn 2. I literally don't think I was gaining any time at turn 2. Just these tiny little cuts where I was just slightly running wide was costing me many penalties in this Grand Prix, but at the same time I didn't really care because I had the 5-second speeding in the pit lane penalty. I had that earlier penalties with Dominator and stuff, and it was my last race, so championship for me doesn't matter. I thought, let's give the people who are watching the live stream and you guys watching now a bit of a show and see if we can make something of this race, which we're certainly doing now. Onto the back of Fens now on lap 19. It looks like we're going to make a move for the lead of this Grand Prix very soon. I don't know how we've caught Fens by this much. He was 5 seconds in front of us just before the first pit stop, and now here we are challenging for the lead of the Grand Prix. I don't know, Ultra Soft tyres really working well for me here. To the outside we go. Fens goes defensive. We go round the outside. I think I've gone in a little bit too deep there, but Fens leaves me copious amounts of space and allows me to take the inside at the next left-hander, and that is the lead of the Russian Grand Prix. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I just should drive more aggressively more often, with the exception of the corner cuts at turn 2, which I really, like I've said many times, I don't think I've been gaining from at all. Like that one right there, the second part of that corner, okay, whatever, it is what it is. I think I realised in the final few laps I needed to shift down into 3rd, and I was taking the same amount of speed anyway. But this is the battle that we're all excited to see. This is Greek Master versus Ryan for a spot on the podium in this Grand Prix. Greek Master's tyres phasing into this Grand Prix really nicely now, and Ryan is pretty vulnerable on those Ultra Soft tyres, which are starting to die off. He goes to the outside, Ryan holding the inside very well. They're late on the brakes, sliding those tyres, which is not going to do the tyre life all too well. Ryan's doing his absolute best to hold on and get 3 points over Greek Master at this stage. The championship is so darn close, and every single point matters in the dying races of this championship. Here goes Greek Master up the inside into turn 2. It's so close between these two guys. I think they got glued to each other at the exit of turn 2, and well, that just looked ugly from all perspectives, even the stream. But my goodness, these guys are really playing for keeps. Ryan's tyres really dying off. Greek Master getting very desperate to find a move here. Ryan goes defensive into the middle sector. Greek goes to the outside. And again, Ryan holds on. Very, very interesting. This is all allowing myself and Fens to get away for the top 2 in this race. If they keep this up, I might even beat these guys on penalties. Here goes Greek again up the inside. Okay, I think this guy needs to calm it down a little bit. Especially given that he's going to have a massive tyre advantage. The more and more this race progresses, I think if he's just a little bit more patient, waits until, I don't know, the next lap or even the last lap, he could just saw past Ryan with ease, but he wants to get the move done here and now, but he gets it done anyway, and he is now into 3rd place. I just thought with Greek Master's fuel situation, maybe he could have done with saving a bit more fuel, but he's going to be pushing his fuel right to the limit now to try and pull away from Ryan. But anyway, we rewind 1 lap to just catch up on what happened to me and Fens in the last lap. So Ryan and Greek battling away very, very hard, while I'm battling away with Fens quite hard here. It was quite the interesting scenario. Both Williams and Ferrari going at it at the exact same time. I thought that was pretty cool. But we've now got Fens coming back at us here on lap 26. I think he just put in a nice lap. You see what happened there? I shifted into 3rd gear. I missed the apex of the first part of turn 2, but I still didn't extend the second part. So that shifting into 3rd gear makes all the difference, it seems. If only I would have known that an hour earlier. Practice. Practice makes perfect, and I certainly didn't get any of that. Here we go into the middle sector. Fens really, really close here on this lap. I had a bit of a moment at the exit of turn 3, which left my tyres a little bit worse for wear, but we've been curating them a little bit ever since getting the lead, just making sure that I had enough to fight with in case Fens came back at me. I was trying to save a little bit of fuel as well to make sure I could push and not get left exposed with no fuel left, and we just about kept Fens at bay and controlled the gap for the rest of the Grand Prix. We come across the line and win the race on circuit, but with all of the penalties, that really set us back quite far, but it was pretty fun anyway. So there we go, guys. That has been the Russian Grand Prix for Season 3 of Oceania. Consequently, my last race. Being my last race, I really didn't want to hang around and have a boring one. I wanted to show what I could do, albeit was thrusted into an angry mode of driving after the 2 incidents with Dominator. And we fought our way back through the field. A lot of corner cuts there, but honestly, most of them, if not all of them, came from turn 2. Just a bad technique through there. And yeah, I think I might have been able to do the same thing without cutting if I had realized earlier the 3rd gear technique. But anyway, that was the race. A really, really fascinating Grand Prix. Me being able to make up all those positions and time, and then the battle with Greek and Ryan, that was truly a race to behold. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. Our pace at Russia has always been pretty strong, and I think with the lack of practice that both myself and Ryan had, I think we really punched above our weight in this one. Championship wise, this will be the last time you might see this for a while. We managed to get to 5th place, 70 odd points behind Fens. We missed 3 races, had the 2 very unlucky DNFs in the first 3 rounds, and that was probably the difference between me and the rest of the guys. Bit of an up and down season, a lot of downs. I was slow after I came back from the UK. Took me a lot of time to get into it again. Hit my form again around Britain, as you saw there with the string of podiums, and then the last few races were, preparing for the end. Didn't really practice as much and switched to iRacing, and that was my season. So that's it. Hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of the season. I really hope that you guys can continue to tune in with this league. See what happens with Ryan and Greek Master. Those guys are having a absolutely titanic battle for the Drivers' Championship, one of which we have not seen so far in Oceania. Ryan has been rather untouchable up until this point, so it's nice to see that there is a contender, and a very formidable one in the former Greek Master. Unfortunately, with Jared not making it today, that's his championship over, I would say. I really think he was building some nice momentum there for a championship challenge, but it wasn't to be, and that was the Russian Grand Prix. Thank you guys so much for watching. All these guys in Oceania have been well and truly punching above their weight for the last year or so. They've really come on strong and been bridging the gap from, some, alright drivers to now, knocking on the door of what the European guys can do, which is really, really nice to see. Hopefully, we can have the odd Oceania driver in esports in the not too distant future. But we'll have to wait and see. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll continue to race competitively, whether that be on F1 or on iRacing. You guys will see that very, very soon. Big shout out to everyone in the Oceania tiers, whether it be drivers, coordinators, moderators, people, commentators. I think commentating is a very unthankful job, so big shout out to all the commentators out there in league racing. Continue to do what you do, and yeah, we'll certainly remember this time with good memories. It's been a really good couple of years racing the Oceania guys, and I'm going to miss them. So that's it from me. I'll see you guys next time for something. Hopefully soon. Laters.